Thanks for joining us for our Week 7 Picks and Preview episode here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're going to kick off this episode of the Week 7 Picks and Preview with our guest picker segment. And we've got the fantastic Simon Carroll joining us. Si, welcome to Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Great to have you on. First of all, how are you doing?
Not bad at all, Paul. Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it. Looking forward to this.
Good stuff. Yeah, we're going to have you doing our FourFold challenge, which is very tricky. Although the guests are doing better than me so far, so make of that what you will. I'm supposed to be the expert, but hey ho.
It's a mug's game. That's what I've heard.
And we record it and put it out into the world instead of
just
hiding in the corner like everybody else. But sometimes we do win. In fact, we do win more often than that, which is good. We're all having a pretty good season so far. Good teams and great teams cover. May not last, but we're having a good season so far.
It's all about having fun with it, isn't it? That's the end of it.
Absolutely. Before we get to the FourFold challenge with Si, and we'll have a chat with Si around the work he does at the touchdown as well. But we just want to shout out the guys at Fantasy Gameday, partner here at Good Teams and Great Teams Cover. They've launched the best daily fantasy game in the UK. Such a big game and such a big industry in the States. We finally got it here in the UK, thanks to the guys at Fantasy Gameday. Their Sunday Stars game has been a hit. It's been growing every single week so far, heading into week 7, fully expecting it to have the most entries and the biggest prize pool, again, as it's done each week. Download the app at Fantasy Gameday. If you're into your fantasy football, you like a bit of a flutter, then go get it done. You just enter your team for that week. You've got a chance of winning some money if you finish in the top 20%. The 2 winners walked away with over £100 each last week, so well worth the entry fee. If you go download the app now from your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, wherever you get your apps from, and register with promo code COVER, COVER, all capital letters. Once you've entered that team for the first time, you'll be credited with a free play to use next week, and get involved because this is growing and it's great to be involved in, and it's a fantastic game. We've entered and won as well a couple of times, so it's pretty good. If we can win, you can win. So there you go. Si, first we'll go through your picks later. Again, thanks for coming on. But really interested to kind of understand how your journey started, the work you do with the touchdown, which I understand you're one of the founder or one of the founders on. Kind of how did you get into kind of covering and writing and in essence being a journalist for the NFL here in the UK?
Oh, it started like everyone does, a passion for the sport, I guess. So, back in the student days, which is a long time ago now, sadly to say, staying up late for no real reason other than you're a student and, first falling in love with the game. And it's taken 3 years to choose my own team, which turned out to be the Chargers in the end. Antonio Cromartie's hat-trick of picks from Peyton Manning back in the day. That sealed it for me. Any underdog. I'm always about the underdog. So that's when my passion started, really. I'm quite a compulsive personality, Paul, so it started growing. I started watching every game I could, and then in the off season, you miss it, and I started to learn about the draft before it was really a big thing over here. So I started a little website called NFL Draft UK, which actually I got a free couple of, so that was quite nice. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years. It was just basically an amateur's take on some of the prospects and things like that. And then a future colleague of mine called Dan reached out to me and decided he was going to try and bring together some of the best content creators in the UK to create like a super website, something that we didn't really have over here. That was just football centric. We've got quite a lot of sites over here about different American sports and stuff, but nothing particularly just about football. So we got 4 of us together. We covered fantasy, we covered the draft, college football, the NFL. And the touchdown was born, really, and that was in 2019. So we're going to our 4th season now. Sorry, it wouldn't be. It'd be our 5th season, wouldn't it? 5th season now. We've had a bit of a re-up this off season because obviously we are still, a UK-based site, still an amateur site, but we like to showcase all of our guys' work, and a lot of our guys have gone to bigger and better things with Sky Sports and Pro Football Network and PFF and things like that. So we're really proud of that. But the touchdown in itself is now a well-established media outlet in this country, which we're really proud of. We've covered the NFL games. We just literally got back from London last week, covering all 3 this year, which was really nice. As much as we can do. We've got guys in America who cover college football too for us, including the Cotton Bowl the last 2 years. So it was just started out as a passion, really. It was it's a pain for my wife. She doesn't understand why I dedicate hours and hours each day to it. It's definitely worth it, and I suggest if anybody's ever interested in doing any content for anybody, just go out there and give it a go. Even if you've got no experience, we all start somewhere. Some of our best writers at our site came to us with no experience. Literally, we gave them a little test article to go for. They fired it off, and away they go. And some of those guys now are writing for really big sites. So if it's something anyone's interested in, of course, reach out to me or any other good UK sites as well, because there are a few of us out there. But yeah, it's definitely a source of pride for me and a big passion of mine. So football dictates my life from maybe September to February every year.
It's a great place to be, and I've got to I think the content you guys produce is fantastic, and I got to read and see a lot of it before I bumped into you in London a few weeks ago. So it's a fantastic place to go. I'd urge anybody in the UK to go check those guys out. It's pretty well known already, but if you haven't seen the guys' content and articles, blogs, go check them out. They're fantastic, and go support the guys because they're doing a great job. When I did bump into you in London a few weeks ago, you'd covered the first game, which was the Falcons-Jaguars game. How was that kind of from kind of going from starting a few years ago to be there kind of covering the game? Kind of tell us about that. How's that feel to be kind of there at Wembley in that capacity?
Well, we've been blessed because we hit the ground running so well. We've been blessed to actually go pretty much every year. It's been something that we didn't particularly envision would be possibly, even possible really when we first started. But I guess it's a testament to not just my work, but everyone's work. And so I went last week as a fan, which was nice. But yeah, for the Wembley game, I tend to cover the Jaguars a lot, really, because I also write for SB Nation in America just solely for the Jaguars. So I tend to bagsy the Jaguar game out of all our writers, really. And then I let the rest of them fight over the what's left, the leftovers. So, but yeah, we got as many different guys as we could down there. We've, George Somerville's a great guy to follow as well. He's always covering things down there for me because he's always in that London. Andy Davis, who's got a lot of other things going on. He was down there too, covering things for us. And Rob Ward as well, who's a good friend of mine. We did the Collapsing Pocket podcast for a good 6-7 years back in the day as well. So yeah, there's a few of us covering it. Just very prideful. You sit in the press box there, you look around, you're amongst peers who dedicated their life to the sport, and it does make you feel proud, a sense of accomplishment really that we hold our own in this country in terms of content. And it's not just the Americans who can do it or the people with the money who can do it. It's people who have got passion and talent, and it's that simple.
Yeah. I think we're seeing 16, 17 years into having the games over here now, but I think kind of each year it grows in terms of kind of the knowledge and how passionate the guys in the UK are about it, and that's across the full stadium. Particularly that Bills game, I thought the second one, the Bills Jaguars, kind of felt like the noise was like you were in Buffalo, like at Bills home game in Buffalo there, and yeah, it was pretty incredible. And I think we're just getting to that point now where, yeah, it's not just it's not a gimmick anymore. Like, it is, a huge part of what the NFL does, and I think it's just going to continue to grow. Just a quick shout out on your team, because I didn't know you followed the Chargers, by the way, until you mentioned. I follow the Cowboys. This was not planned. We just had Cowboys Chargers on Monday night. What do you make into kind of how the Chargers have started off the season?
So, I mean, I am freely admit I am a Chargers fan. I do love any football, and obviously now I've got a little bit of a soft spot for the Jaguars too. But in terms of the Chargers this year, it's got to be classed as a disappointment, and that's saying it from somebody who's used to being disappointed by the Chargers. There's too much talent on this team to be a middling 2-3, struggle each week to shut teams out kind of team. I think the jury's well and truly out on Brandon Staley as a head coach. There's question marks on both sides of the football, predominantly on defense, which is his side of the football. There's not as well as you've got talent like Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and Joey Bosa, the big names and big players on both sides of the football, but there's also missteps too. JC Jackson, someone who spent a $90 million contract on, and now he's been traded back to the Patriots for peanuts. So a lot of questions with the Chargers, nothing new, sad to say. Always blessed to support a team, I guess, that's had a good quarterback for my entirety. Philip Rivers, really good quarterback. Was he the best? No. Was he the coolest? Yes. Justin Herbert's trending probably up that direction too. Someone who could win, if he was at a proper franchise, could win a Super Bowl. I guess as a Chargers fan, it's all about the hope, isn't it? Every year you build yourselves up, you think you're going to challenge the Chiefs in the division, and it wouldn't surprise me if we beat the Chiefs. we're coming up against the Chiefs next. That we can beat the Chiefs in the division, but can we can't do it for 17 games in the season for over 18 weeks. That's a classic Chargers situation. And being a Preston North End fan in football, and a Texas Longhorns fan in college football, I'm just kind of used to that anyway. So it's absolutely fine. It's probably my fault, Paul, if anything. But no, it could be harder. I could follow a team at the Broncos this year, for instance. But yeah, I think it's because you have those expectations with the talent available that it is so disappointing as a Chargers fan, and more die-hard fans than me will certainly have that opinion.
Yeah, I think, again, the Chargers are a team I've got a soft spot for, because as a fan, particularly when I was getting into it, I loved that kind of the core of that team of Rivers, Gates, Thomas,
great uniforms too.
Jackson, yeah, absolutely. I was having this conversation with my partner actually about how she was watching the game one day, and she absolutely detested the uniforms. I was like, what? How can you? I know. Must quite possibly the only person.
It's not going to last, Paul.
Quite possibly the only person on the planet who doesn't love those jerseys. But yeah, just always a real fun team. I find there's never a dull moment, I suppose, with the Chargers, and yeah, one I've got a soft spot for. I didn't have a soft spot to them in particular on Monday night, but I really felt, again, watching that game, I really felt the Chargers should have won that game.
Yeah, and they should have beat the Dolphins. Countless times we're lucky to beat the Vikings. One way or another, we're unlucky or lucky just enough. Just to keep that potential for being good, but never actually quite realising it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I really fancy the Chargers against the Chiefs this week. They've just something where they play the Chiefs really close, and really like them to bounce back this week, because the Chiefs, while I've bounced back from that first game against Lions, haven't looked particularly great, apart from kind of beating up on the Bears, which a lot of teams have and will continue to do this season. They've looked like they've really struggled through the game, so I really fancy the Chargers on the road this week.
Well, he's hoping.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some picks. And so you're going to take part in our fourfold challenge. I'm pretty sure the guests are exactly 500 so far. So
no pressure. Thanks.
6 weeks in, so no pressure. I'm trying to chase the guests. I need to chase the other guys, but I need to get past the guests first. I don't think it's going to happen. Kick us off, Si, then, with your favorite. Who's your favorite for the week then?
I like this, a favourite, because over the touchdown we do something called a ballsy callsy each week, and we try and find the most wildest prediction to win. So we steer clear of favourites in general over the touchdown, but I think it's going to be the Browns, 2.5 point favourites at the Colts. I don't really understand that line, to be quite frank. The Browns are the best defensive football, allowing the fourth least yards against the run in the league. That makes it a real tough matchup for Indy in my book, who's definitely going to try and run the football this weekend, in the absence of Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Zach Moss, and who has started the season quite well, and obviously the return of Jonathan Taylor. Those guys struggled against the Jaguars last week. I think they put 40 yards between them. So this is not a good matchup for the Colts. I don't see how they score on Cleveland consistently enough. And I think the Browns, despite missing just on Watson, have still managed to dig out some good wins in that spell. So I think the Browns do have the horses to put up enough points to beat the Colts, and I think this one's probably a 2-score win quite comfortably. Browns to win and cover for me.
Nice. I was real pleased with PJ Walker last week, as I was playing in covering for the Browns while Watson's out. We saw DTR for a bit, didn't we? But PJ Walker, every game PJ Walker's in just tends to be a fun game. We've seen it over the years wherever he's had to kind of come in at quarterback for various teams he's played for. So real pleased for him, and I actually think he put in quite a competent performance against the 49ers, which is tough to, probably the next best defense after the Browns, and was real nice to see him get a win. Yeah, this one's interesting, but I like the pick. Yeah, Browns minus 2.5. I like your thought process there. And I just wanted to ask you a quick question, because obviously about the Colts, because we mentioned Anthony Richardson. So he'd started the season, he's had his injury problems, and he's out. Obviously, you're so big on the kind of the draft and into your college football as well. What were your thoughts on Anthony Richardson kind of earlier in the season, and how do you think he'd taken to the NFL in the limited action that we've seen him in?
I think if you're a Colts fan, you couldn't have asked for much more, to be quite honest. There are polarizing opinions in the draft purely because of experience. Anthony Richardson is a physical and athletical freak. It's that simple. He's Cam Newton, but better as his ceiling. So if he reaches that ceiling, then the Colts will be laughing all the way to the bank. The problem, of course, is that I think he started something like 12 games for the Florida Gators in his college career, and the only really good game he had was the first game of last season when he had all summer to prepare for Utah and absolutely battered them. I assume there'll be a lot more growing pains than there has been. The bigger concern if you're a Colts fan now, I guess, is trying to keep him healthy, because 3-4 years ago, the Colts had one of the best defensive lines in football. Now it's porous, and they've got a quarterback who probably needs protected quite a lot. A guy who's going to take some hits, and if he can't stay on the field by taking those hits, that might actually end up being the bigger problem than the talent. I enjoy watching Anthony Richardson. I've got a lot more of a holistic approach to drafting. I think it's more about just watching it and understanding it, getting a vibe for it, really. Certainly a quarterback position. You look at a quarterback and you can see that working in the NFL. It's about whether he's got the right personnel, like a lot of quarterback landing spots is, and how much time he's got to get there. So maybe, if anything, if he can come back stronger and it's not like a long-term kind of issue for him, this injury break could be a good thing for Anthony Richardson. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the Colts are all about out in that AFC South either, because Gardner Minshew is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the game, a real gamer, someone who's going to make it interesting each week. I'm actually looking forward to watching the Colts more now that he's in.
Yeah, I think Gardner Minshew again, probably with him and probably Andy Dalton, probably the best backup quarterbacks you can have. Somebody who's relatively experienced, knows how to win, has won games. Yeah, always a fun watch as well. Again, Gardner Minshew, always a fun watch as well. So yeah, interesting. And yeah, I mean, kind of looks like the Jags might have started to take a grip of that division, but that grip could easily loosen as we go. And yeah, it might not take too many wins to win that one. Cool. Thanks. That was really interesting to get your views on Anthony Richardson. Let's have a look at your underdog side. Who have you got as your underdog for week 7?
I had to check this because I thought this has got to be wrong. But the Lions being underdogs, 3-point underdogs against the Ravens. I mean, I was at Wembley on Sunday, and the Ravens really struggled to move that football. Most Baltimore Ravens fans I saw, not my wife, but all the rest of them, they had like Justin Tucker jerseys, and that's because he's the MVP of this team. The Lions, however, they continue to rise to elevated to unmatch these kind of like elevated expectations. It's largely due to the underrated play of Jared Goff. So one of the most balanced rosters in the league. I don't see too many spots, matchup spots that I think the Ravens come out on top of in this contest. And outside a kicker, of course, no disrespect to Justin Tucker, the actual GOAT of the kicking game in the NFL. I understand it's in Baltimore, and there's always that nagging feeling that the Lions will at some point be that Lions team that we all know and love. But I'm so confident in this pick. I'm not just going to take it to cover. I'm going to take him to win outright. To me, this is. I wouldn't have been surprised if Ravens were 3-point underdogs, let alone the Lions.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Lions, they just keep rolling, don't they? And they, historically have been, and even recently have been pretty poor on the road, but they seem to have rectified that as well in terms of as a team on the road in the NFL to be able to go away and win games. Again, this was why I thought it was maybe been a bit closer. I wouldn't surprise if we would have been as a 1.5 point favourite Ravens, but the 3, I agree with you. I think the three's too much, and I fully expect the Lions to go in the game as well. And the Ravens are poor as a favourite, or recently they're poor as a favourite. Don't cover, don't win outright.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's interesting. One we've gone back to the last few weeks as the Ravens have been favourites in a lot of games. I'm quite expecting this one to be probably relatively low scoring, I think. Obviously, the Lions have done a lot of work defensively and turned what was probably the league's worst defense last year to, certainly one of the better ones now. So, yeah, it should be a good game. I think this is a litmus test for the Lions, but I'd expect them to come through it. Should be a great game, though. Let's go with the under first side. We'll finish with a high on the overs. Let's go with your under first. What have you got as your there's a lot of low totals this week as well, but what have you got as your under?
Yeah, I think I've gone for an NFC West matchup. The Cardinals versus the Seahawks, line of 44.5. I think we've got two teams here that really have a run first identity at heart. Probably an underappreciated ground game on both sides of football. I think these classical division games don't ever tend to be too high scoring. It was quite difficult to choose one, like you said. I think both would be wary of getting into one of those heavy scoring affairs. Particularly the Cardinals, who I don't think they quite, necessarily have the a defense they can get off the field when they need to in key moments, or an offense you can maybe get explosive when they need to. So that I think they'll try and control the clock. I think the Seahawks don't tend to blow out anyone in general. Instead, preferring to control the clock really, and it's heavy favourites. I imagine this game running quite quickly really for the Seahawks. And if both teams get to 20 points, I'd be surprised really. So line of 44.5, give me the under on that one.
Nice, good stuff. I think again, probably one of the things I've been surprised at is how competitive the Cardinals have been this season. I think everything pre-season, the way it was going, was that kind of in a bit of a tanking situation. But look, those guys get paid as well, right? Those guys have got pride. They've got contracts to try and earn. Tape to put out there, and I think they're doing a really good job so far. Cardinals, although 1-5 don't look great after 6 weeks, but I think in most of those games, they've not really been blown out. They've been very, very competitive. Even in the Niners game, they ran out of steam towards the end, and as the Niners do to teams, we'll just kind of ground them down. But they've been very frisky. So yeah, it should be a good matchup. And I'm expecting as well kind of the Seahawks to start getting a bit better now as well. I think they've kind of been a bit stop start so far. I expect them to push on, but yeah, cool. 44.5 under Cardinal Seahawks. Then finishes offside with your over. Where are all the points going to be, and what's looking like it's going to be a low scoring week?
Biggest line of the week, and it's not put me off at all. Got to take the over on the Dolphins versus the Eagles, 51.5 points. The Dolphins, I think they're averaging something like 37.2 points per game. The Eagles 25.8. I think that's like 11.5 points more than the line. And neither of these teams are facing a particularly potent opponent so far either. I know obviously the Dolphins were beaten by the Bills, but I mean, the Bills aren't the same explosive Bills of the last 2 years, are they? I mean, I know they played well in that game. So I acknowledge that was one game and maybe they had a fight on their hands. But yeah, I think they're just going for fun at the moment. I'm looking at a potential Sunday night shootout here in Philly. I think it's obviously, like I said, it's quite rightly the biggest line of the week to, accomplished, well-rounded and deadly offenses, certainly aerially. So yeah, for me, 51.5 points, smashed that and have a great Sunday night football.
Nice. We're due one as well, I think. I think, particularly Sunday night footballs have been so far. Some of that's been the choice of the games, right? But they've been particularly low scoring. Some have been duds. Bills Giants was a bit of a different game. That's you could enjoy that one, but it was 14-9, a very strange game.
There's beauty in those games, but not when you're betting the over.
Not when you're on the over, or not when you're on the Bills -14, like a lot of people were last week. Would you like a kind of classic Sunday night game? We've not really had one yet. The primetime games in general have been a bit naff so far, but
I think we need a Mexico City Rams Chiefs one. I think that's what we're looking for.
That'd be great. Yeah, give us that. You might get this 52 or 51.5, 52 done by halftime here. We'll see. That'd be great.
Hopefully.
Cool. Si, thanks ever so much for your picks. Good luck with them. As I say, we haven't had a guest go 4-0 yet, so this could be the week. I'm liking what you've lined up so far. So we'll see. Although I like my picks, and I've done terribly so far. So might not be the best judge. But just before you go, Si, if you give us a shout out, where can the listeners and viewers, where can they follow you? Where can they go get access to the touchdown?
So go and follow me on Twitter at NFL Draft Sci, or you can follow the touchdown at the Touchdown NFL, and of course head over to the site, which is www.thetouchdown.co.uk.
Cool, excellent. Si, it's been a pleasure. Thanks ever so much, and hopefully we'll have you back sometime in the future.
Looking forward to it. Thanks very much, Paul.
See you, Si. Bye. Thanks to Si Carroll there for being our guest picker for week 7. Let's see if Si can be the first guest to go 4-0 or 0-4. Probably 4-0. I don't know. I like Si's picks. We'll see how he gets on. Go give Simon a follow at NFL Draft SI on Twitter or X, and make sure you go follow the Touchdown at the Touchdown NFL, or go to thetouchdown.co.uk for some great articles, some great content from those guys. We'll move on with our Week 7 picks and preview show. Enter Byron and Joe. Gentlemen, how are you both doing?
Good, yeah. Good to hear from Si.
Yeah, pleasure to see you both as always. Are we excited for Week 7?
Yeah, some good games. A bit of a sparser one with a lot of buys, it feels like, but yeah, some good games in there.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of interesting ones. Like looking at especially the early afternoon games, a lot of them are the over-under is very low, so hopefully we can prove the bookies wrong, but hopefully it's not too boring of games.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen so far 6 weeks in is kind of, I think defenses have caught up, haven't they? The game's been rigged against defenses for so long, and they have started to work it all out and find a way. Or just the offenses are getting bad, who knows? But so it's been lower point scoring so far, hasn't it? Through 6 weeks, I think first 10, 12 years. So hopefully that starts to change. And if it is going to change, I don't think it's going to change this week based on some of these lines as well. So, but it's football. We love it. It's going to be great. So let's get into we're going to preview four of the games from the Week 7 slate. We're going to look at some Fantasy Game Day shout-outs, of course. Remember, go download Fantasy Game Day from the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, wherever. Register with promo code COVER, all in capital letters, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo, all in capital letters. And once you've deposited some funds and entered a lineup for a Sunday Stars game, you'll then be credited with a free game to play. Make sure you do. It's going to grow again this week. It was 138 entries and over 800 quid in the prize pool last week. It's going to go over 150, I reckon, this week and get closer to 900 in the prize pool. It's growing week on week. Be a part of the fantasy revolution here in the UK. 18 years and above, UK only. Please gamble responsibly. Forgot that in the other part and in the first ad, but we've got it in. Don't worry, guys. We've got you covered. Let's start with the Lions and Ravens. Lions are a 3-point underdog in this one. The over-under's 43. First of all, are we shocked that the Lions are underdogs in this one, or is it right? What are your thoughts?
I'm surprised. Lions feel like the trendiest team in the NFL right now after the Niners lost and the Eagles lost last week. And some people have even been betting like Jared Goff for MVP, which power to them, I guess. But yeah, I was stunned when I seen the Lions were +3. I honestly thought it was a misprint. I wouldn't doubt Joe's ability to put a spreadsheet together, but I did have to double check it. I was like, no, the Ravens are +3, right? But no, I'm very pleased to take the Lions +3 here. It's trendiest team in football. Ravens have been very hit or miss. Like we said, they could be 6-0, but I mean, so could the Lions. They've had one loss. They could have won that game. So yeah, I was surprised, certainly.
Yeah, I was surprised too, because you normally say like if the teams are equal, then it is the +3 to the home team. That if the player neutral would be bang in the middle. But I didn't see these teams as neutral. I think the Lions has shown a lot more than what the Ravens have. I know the Ravens could have been 6-0, but they could also be, 3-3. They could have lost the Titans last week. How it was going, they just feel like a team which just not got everything clicking all at once, and especially with how the Lions played last week and dominated the Tampa Bay, especially on the defensive side. It's it was a curious one, but not going to complain when we put money on it. So
yeah, how much concern do we put in there? I think Montgomery's not practiced. I don't know if he's going to play. Reynolds, who would be, I suppose, the backup running back, also has not practiced, or was limited in practice. And then you've got Gibbs, who's coming back from injury. How much of a concern is it that the running back room is pretty banged up for Detroit?
It's a concern. But they seem to have the ability to get it done. Like Craig Reynolds isn't somebody you're putting your bank on, I think, in any other team, pretty much. And I trust Ben Johnson. I trust Jared Goff right now. I think the addition of getting Jameson Williams back early has helped. Even when he's not getting a lot of targets, I don't think he's ever going to be a target monster, but just opening up the field is such a huge thing they haven't had this season. Kind of wonder if we're going to see a bit of Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds getting involved in the backfield more than you might expect. I mean, obviously, you'd much rather have David Montgomery. You'd much rather have Craig Reynolds out there, but I'm not hugely concerned. Again, Baltimore are going with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. It's not like, they lost J.K. Dobbins earlier in the season as well. So there's a lot of injuries, I think, on both sides of the ball for both teams.
I mean, I'd want Craig Reynolds in just to block based on last week, to be fair.
Yeah.
Block of the week, block of the season, I think, by far. I mean, it's tough. I think we're all, for our picks, haven't we? Our ATS, we're all on the Lions, which is worrying. And we'll get to the FourFold picks later on because that's about. But I mean, part of the reason for that is the Ravens are terrible. The reasons why I'm real confident in the Lions. The Ravens are absolutely terrible as a favourite. I think we've discussed this the last couple of times. The Ravens have been a favourite. The last 20 Baltimore Ravens are a favourite. They're 8-12 against the spread. they're not good as a favourite. And look, if you're looking for the total on this one, what are we? 43 in those same 20 games where the Ravens have been a favourite. The under has hit 17-3. I'm all on the under in this one. I know it's a low number, 43, but Ravens as a favourite, those games just tend to hit under, or have done. In the last 20, you can go back further, and the trend goes on. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think the Ravens are really, really poor as a favourite, and they don't. What we've seen is they don't put teams away. So, even if this doesn't be an even game, the Lions keep it. I think it'll be. I do think it'll probably be a close game, but I really like the Lions to win it.
And I think, Baltimore will be happy to have fewer possessions in the game than more. I think they're going to try and take the air out of the game a little and run the clock, and that all bleeds into the under, obviously.
Yeah. Who's the, given obviously we've mentioned some of the injuries to the Lions, and who's your fantasy game day shout out for this one?
It's hard to stay away from Amon-Ra, really. He's going to eat targets. If you want to go YOLO, you might go Sam Laporta, who again's been eating targets up incredibly well for a rookie tight end. But those would be my options, I think.
Yeah, I was going to shout them out as well. It's just got you got to give credit to Baltimore's defense. I think they're ranked 2 in DVOA, so it's not like they're going against an easy opposition. So, but it might mean without the running backs, the one that might have to throw a bit more and try and get explosive plays that way. So, yeah, please say them too. And then on the Baltimore side, Zay Flowers is always a good shout because he feels like he always pops up and gets some touchdowns. But I feel like I would stay away from the Ravens this week and look elsewhere.
Yeah, Amon-Ra's around £5,700 in Fantasy Game Day. Yeah, I think the Ravens have been a really, really good defense. I think they've given up 163 yards through the air per game, which is only bettered by the Browns so far, so second against the pass. And they're giving up less than 100 yards a clip on 100 yards a game on the ground as well. 97 yards a game. It's pretty good defense. It should be a good one. I think this is a real litmus test for the Lions. Can they carry it on? Because I think the things with the Lions, kind of no matter how much we go on about how great they are one bad performance for everyone going, same old Lions. No matter how good they get. So, yeah, interesting. But I think this is
that's just you, Paul.
He's just saying it already.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be. I think the NFL world is waiting for the Lions to take a backward step and be same old Lions.
But I think if they lose to the Ravens, I'm not going to be like jumping off the bandwagon. It's not like they're losing against. Yeah, it's not like they're losing against a terrible team. I think they're pretty high. Like I said, second in defense. I think like top 10 in offense. So I can't really say like this is a terrible team to lose to away from home. So, and
I think
the Lions have done a great job, right? Like you've taken that defense that was the worst in the NFL last season to one of the strongest ones in one of the strongest units in the NFL. Now they've done brilliantly, and I think probably they're going to be a difficult out in the playoffs because they're going to go, they're going to win the division. They're going to get to the playoffs. They're going to be a real difficult out in January. So yeah, but I'm just sort of saying I think that's where the narrative will go. That's all.
And they are 3-point underdogs as well, which goes into like playing in Baltimore as well. So that should certainly, if they do lose, it should soften the narrative. Doesn't mean it will, though. I kind of agree that people are desperate to get the takes away. Just a little bit more as to why I love the Lions in this spot, and it's less about the Lions and more about the Ravens. So we just talked about the Ravens as that terrible as a favorite. They're also terrible at home as a favorite as well. They're 8-2, 2-8 against the spread as a home favorite in the last 10. The under has also hit 9-1 in those 10 games as a favorite. The last 10 as a favorite at home as well. So yeah, I'm all over that Ravens under number. I think it must have moved because I put it down at 42. I've not actually put it on yet, so I'll take an extra point at 43. But nice. Yeah, just love the under there. And I know you like your stats, but did you know that in the month of October, the Ravens are 0-2 against the Lions ever? So
don't make me edit this. Don't make me edit this recording.
It's a strong start.
Byron's got a new toy to find some stats from. Any bets? Obviously, I've shouted out. I love the Lions at +3. Love the under 43. Any other bets? Any bets from you guys on this one? What were you liking?
I've backed the Lions already at +3. I haven't bet any kind of prop markets on it yet. I think low scoring game is going to be a tough one to find a value. I think.
Yeah, I'm curious what Hutchinson is plus 0.5 sack. I just feel like with Lamar scrambling, he's probably the player on that defensive line who's athletic enough to keep up with him.
Yeah, I'm around St. Brown anytime touchdowns plus 210. Wait, Zay Flowers is the same plus 210. For the price, I'll take Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think. And Hutchinson over half a sack. After bet builder this, Joe. Should have prepped me in advance.
He's been so good, Aiden Hutchinson. Me and you both shouted him out, I think, as a DPOY candidate, Joe. And yeah, he's gone from 33s, I think, when we talked about it, to I think he's plus 1,200 now. So I think of the Garrett, Bosa, Parsons, I think he's the next favourite, certainly. He's had a hell of a season so far.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. Any more for this before we move on? No, excellent. Chad, let's go to the AFC West. Chargers, Chiefs. Chargers coming off the back of that Monday night loss against the Cowboys, against the Chiefs who played Thursday night football, so I've had a bit of a mini bye. Do you want to go quickly find an Andy Reid mini bye stat, Byron? Chargers are 5.5 point favourites. Over under is 48. These Chargers tend to play the Chiefs close, or have done recently. Are we expecting a similar game to play out?
Yeah, I've got for being pretty close, and it just feels like every Charger game this season has been gone down to the last play or to the last possession. So I feel like it's same, especially with how the Chiefs have not blown anyone away as well. So I think because they haven't blown anyone away in terms of offense, I feel like this is going to come down to, as usual, last play and see what happens. I'm curious how Herbert plays. I think that was his worst game last week against the Cowboys, so he's obviously going to have to step up, and he's going to play against another good defense, because I think the Chiefs defense probably been the best part of the team this season. So I feel like he has to hit them open receivers to actually have a chance to win this. But again, the Chiefs not really blowing anyone away. I know they've just got Hardman, but I don't think he's going to do too much. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really close game.
Wow, we're getting a bonus Charlie the Dog appearance.
Well, yeah, I obviously have some strong takes on Nicole Hardman. And he isn't just feeling isolated because my wife just left for the afternoon.
Oh, bless him. Well, welcome to Good Teams and Great Teams cover, Charlie. Can we get your favourite underdog over and under picks for our FourFold challenge, please?
We'll pop him in, yeah. He's going 4-0, I think, this week.
I thought you just said we'll pop them in as a dog pun then, but yeah. Anyway,
It might be a bit rough even for me.
I don't think we have anybody listening to this show. Do you Chargers Chief stats?
I mean, despite the fact, I think in the last 10, the Chiefs have gone 7-3 against the Chargers. It is 5-5 on the spread. And if you go back even further, it's 23-7 Chiefs, but it's 15-14-1 on the spread. So I think it is always played real close, this game. I would go the Chargers on the plus 5.5. I think it's well within their range. I wouldn't be stunned if the Chargers win and just pull out a big game, but like Joe says, a mini bye against a short week doesn't bode well for the Chargers.
Yeah. I'm regretting sending you the link to that website already. It's been less than 15 minutes. I should probably shout out, by the way, the guys who run oddshark.com for their great NFL database. So Chargers 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 as a road underdog. Pretty good on the road as a road underdog. And they're 4-1 against the spread versus the Chiefs in the last five games between the two. So yeah, I really, really like the Chargers here. Any leans from a bet perspective on Chargers Chiefs? Oh no, Fantasy Game Day. Let's do that first. Chargers Chiefs. First time we've had the Chiefs in Fantasy Game Day for the last few weeks because of the schedule that they've had. Sunday night football, Thursday night football. Who we like in Chargers Chiefs?
I think in a week like this, we kind of discussed there's no Dolphins, there's no Niners, there's no Eagles. I'd say just pouring it for Travis Kelce. Elite players are a bit of a premium this week. Maybe just smash the premium player in. Work out the rest later.
Kelce is going to cost you 6,700. Is going to cost you a pretty penny in Fantasy Game Day. Joe, any leads for you? Who you like?
I was going to say Kelce as well. I think you can just get him in. He could be like your number one wide receiver, really, for the game day. Just just how bad the Chargers defense has been, and how they're, especially the passing yards, it's not great from the Chargers perspective. And who's Mahomes' number one target? Just go Kelsey. I feel like.
Fair enough.
You got a YOLO call for us, Paul? If we're so dull.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a real out of the box one. Austin Eckler.
Oh, undrafted rookie, undrafted former.
Yeah, who's he? Never heard of him.
£7,500 is going to cost you in Fantasy Game Day this week.
More than Kelsey.
Yeah. And Pat Mahomes, just because we are talking Chiefs, I think Mahomes is £8,100. So over 20% of your budget. Yeah,
Would you go Mahomes though with how he's played? I know they got tons of I was just looking. I was surprised how high they are in DVOA and how many the total yards are actually the 6th or 7th. But it just doesn't feel that way because they just haven't scored a lot of points.
Yeah, they're still a 4th-ranked offense in the NFL right now. It's it's not translating into points, but 24.5 points a game, but still racking up the yards. Again, a huge chunk of that was against the Bears, but they blew out, didn't they? But yeah, they're still going pretty well. It's just hard, isn't it? I think it's hard for us to see the Chiefs. I'll give them a fair shake because of how good they've been. And then when they just drop off just a little bit, they're still very, very good. And the offense is still per the league, very good. But we're like, oh no, they're in a bit of a rough time. They've not quite found it yet.
Yeah, I would say one of the things is though, the actual schedule. They've played the Bears, Jets, Vikings, Broncos.
That's fair, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like they've played all, and the other teams like Jags and Lions, who Jags didn't start off too well. So you can only say the Lions really out the 6 weeks, and they're not putting points up against these, and now the Chargers, who's again one of the worst defenses. So if they don't do that again, and then they play some of the big boys are coming up on their schedule, that's when it'll play the worry would come in.
Yeah, fair.
And I think the worry in games like this Sunday, where there might be a case of I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a shootout, but it's got that potential certainly. Both great quarterbacks. It's all in good Pacheco grinding it, but if the Chargers have a much improved offensive performance, it feels weird to say, but do the Chiefs keep up?
Interesting. Chargers need kind of bit of to get back on track, don't they? 2-3. They should have won that game on Monday against Dallas and didn't. Justin Herbert's getting pelters left, right, and centre. It's be a good spot to bounce back in and shut up some critics going on the road to Kansas and beating the champs.
Definitely.
Cool. Any bets in this one?
I think I went the under in this game, just because I think the best part of the Chiefs is their defense. So I don't think Chargers are going to rack up points. I don't think Chiefs, how they've been playing, are going to rack up points. So yeah, I think it was 48. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, on 48. I've not put it on, but I like the over half an interception double, Mahomes and Herbert. Get you somewhere around 2-1 plus 200.
I do like Rashee Rice for a touchdown as well, plus 250. He seems to be their most featured wide receiver, especially in the end zone. Sky Moore is trash. MVS is trash. The fact that brought Mecole Hardman back is very telling, I think, of Sky Moore's lack of a role. And Rashee Rice seems to be getting better by the week, truthfully. He doesn't get as much involvement as I'd like. Very much Marvin Mims narrative. But
I was about to say, is Rashee Rice your new Marvin Mims?
Well, they've always been together, really. I think they both played really well since they came in. But I think I have more faith in Rashee Rice because I have more faith in Kansas. And yeah, Quentin Johnson's out to 450 for a touchdown this week. I will not be betting it this week.
Fair enough. Cool, good stuff. Let's move on. We'll move to Sunday Night Football. Real exciting one. I think we're due a really good Sunday night game. We haven't had one yet. I think this could be the one. Dolphins, Eagles. Dolphins are 2.5 point underdogs. Over under is 51.5. Dolphins have had one of these tests already. They went to Buffalo a few weeks ago and got smashed. Let's be honest, got beat by 28 by the Bills. What do we expect to see in this one? Is this is another test for the Dolphins? Are they going to be more up to the test this time, or do we expect them to Philadelphia to kind of respond after getting beat by the Jets last week?
I think, yeah, a bit of pick 'em. I've seen Lane Johnson's practicing already, which I wasn't really expecting to see. We talked on Tuesday about could be out weeks. How does it impact because the Eagles are going into a tough period now, right, of fixtures. See how Lane Johnson, how much is missing? It's like, well, he might not miss the game. So that was a lot of hot air. Like the Buffalo game, I think this is kind of a pick'em game. I'll take the Dolphins with the plus, but I probably won't be betting it truthfully because I think this really is a toss-em game. And toss-em, is that a term? Toss-up game? Coin toss? You know what I mean.
It's not that kind of show.
I just think it might just come down to whoever gets hot. Miami have got the issue. I think Connor Williams is questionable, which with Tyron Armstead already out, could make their line a bit of an issue, certainly. But Miami get the ball out quicker than anybody else. So how much of an issue will it be? Game I don't have a huge, obviously, confident call on for this one, but I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, I think it should be a real good one. Joe, kind of what's your thoughts on this one? Are we going to see the Dolphins make a statement and go beat the Eagles in at the Link?
Well, I've got the Eagles. It's similar to when they played the Bills, to be honest. And I think the worst thing what's probably happened for the Dolphins is that the Eagles lost last week. That it's probably, again, it's what happened to the Bills as well, that it feels like they're both are really good teams, and being at the Eagles ground where, they're expected to win and they've just lost the Jets, it feels like, are they going to put more into it? I don't know if that's but is it going to be like a bigger game and like bounce back kind of game for these big teams? So I think they might just win by a field goal. I don't think it's crazy. Again, looking at some of the defensive rankings, I'm surprised how low the Dolphins are. I think it's just because they've had a few games. I know they're number one in offense, but in defense and DVOA, they're ranked 27th, which feels really low. And I think it's just because they've played teams and they're actually battered them, but they've still conceded a lot of points. And they were 14-0 down to the Panthers. Obviously, I know they came back, but if you go 14-0 down to the Eagles, are you going to be able to do that? And yeah, it looks like their actual rushing, how many rushing yards they give up, it's it's not amazing, and that's probably the Eagles' strength. So the Eagles will be able to get back on board with the running game, especially like you said. I think with Lane Johnson playing, who's the guy with the weird finger? Why can't I remember his name? Defensive lineman. Yeah, apparently he hangs around with Lane Johnson quite a lot, and he's put online that he should be fit for this weekend. So that's big to get a run game going, and then probably makes it easier for her to the play action.
Amazes me how Brian Baldinger just carries out day-to-day activities with that finger. Just like it's disgusting and remarkable at the same time. Shout out Baldy. I think I don't know. So I've taken the Dolphins on ours. I don't know if I want to bet the game, but the Dolphins for our ATS picks 2.5. But I think this could be a bad week to go to Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Phillies in MLB could clinch a World Series spot by the time that game starts. So the 2-0 up against the Arizona Diamondbacks in the NLCS series. So you could kind of get to there, with the World Series starting shortly after, just Philly sports going a bit nuts. I think it could be a bad week to go to the Link and play the Eagles, as most weeks are, but I think this one could be an especially bad one. But yeah, a couple of stats for you that point towards possibly a high-scoring game, so not just the line at 51.5. So since Mike McDaniel's taken over as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, they've been an underdog on 9 occasions. The over is 6-3 in those 9 games. Eagles are 5-4-1 against the spread in the last 10 at home. So pretty middle of the road. However, the over is 8-2 in those games. So very much pointing to an over. Who would have possibly picked the under on their FourFold challenge? Guess which one of those two things happened first? Me finding out those stats or me making the pick?
And in the last 10 as a road underdog, the over 7-3 for Miami. And they are 2-8 in those matchups though. So an over with a Dolphins Eagles win seems
high scoring Eagles win potentially.
Wouldn't be a shocker.
Should we go on? Potential Super Bowl preview?
I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully it's Dallas somebody, but I'll find out. We celebrate all teams here at GTW.
All teams are Philadelphia Eagles.
Other NFC teams are available. Fuck it, I'd rather see the Lions in there than I'd rather see basically any team than the Eagles, truthfully. So, yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
I saw they see Ace Ventura won Super Bowl game or whatever game it is. So
good shot.
Just throw that out. But yeah, it could be. You never know.
Oh, I haven't mentioned any revenge games yet. Ace Ventura revenge game. There we go.
25 minutes he lasted. Between the two of you, you're both as bad as each other with the revenge games. Yeah, but shout out Ace Ventura.
Well, it's a bit questionable.
Fair. Let's move on, shall we? So no fantasy game day ones for that one, with it being the Sunday night game. 49ers Vikings. Let's move to Monday Night Football. 49ers Vikings. 49ers are 7-point favourites on the road in Minneapolis against the Vikings. Over-unders 44. Joe, what are you expecting to see out the 49ers after kind of the mess that ended up being that defeat against Cleveland?
Well, I'm expecting a win, first off. There's 7 points. I'm not quite sure about that. Just, with some of the players missing. It sounds like Debo and Williams might be back and McCaffrey's up in the air. I think he's leaning towards him playing, but I feel like this game they could sit him. I don't know if they need to risk with that kind of injury. I think Mitchell and Mason would be enough against this Vikings team. I think if Jefferson was playing, I'd be a bit more worried that they would be able to especially throw on 49ers, because even though they've got a good defense, but I still think the cornerbacks can be a bit suspect, especially when you've got two great wide receivers with how Addison's looking. So I feel a bit more confident. I still think Vikings are going to score some points. I think it all depends how Purdy bounces back against a team who's going to play man coverage and blitz quite a lot. Is he going to be able to overcome that what he did against the Browns? But the Vikings, cornerbacks are nowhere near as good as the Browns. So hopefully the Niners receivers can get more open and get more separation. So I expect them to win. It's indoors as well. That probably helps. Hopefully helps Moody. I'm expecting a win. I'm expecting a dominant win. It could happen, but I'll not be surprised if they win by 4 and Kirk Cousins scores an interception at the end. I still went the 49ers plus 7 just because, don't like betting against your own team, but who knows?
Well, they do love a one-score game in Minnesota there. For the minute, don't they? What's that? Is that every all 6 so far they've played have been one-score games? All 6 been one-score games, and they are 1-5. Not quite the 11-0 that they were last year. Also, they did get a win last week against the Bears. So I don't think necessarily this is the game that they'll revive from. But is there a chance with a pretty weak schedule after this one that the Vikings can get their act together? And may they be an outside push for a wild card spot late on?
But if they lose this, what are they 1-6? Oh no, 2-5. Possibly, but it's still,
So this is the run after this. The Niners game is at Packers, at Falcons, at home to the Saints, at the Broncos, against the Bears again, at the Raiders. That's 6 very, very winnable games.
But you're probably going to win all 6 in order to be in contention, because if you go, 4-2, then you're still.
Yeah, and they're winnable, but I wouldn't be stunned if they lost all of those games either. The 6 pick'em games, I think, or toss'em games, as some people would say. I wouldn't pick the Vikings as big favourites any of them. If they were 3.5-point underdogs in any of them, I'd probably be. If they were 3.5-point favourites, I'd probably be picking the underdog in all of them. Maybe not the Broncos, but I'd probably go with the underdog in all of them if the Vikings were heavily favoured. So.
Just interesting, because you're going to get Jefferson back at some point on that stretch, probably quite early on. So, I don't know. There's a little bit. I just don't think the Vikings are dead yet.
I think they are. So we can obviously agree to disagree, but I think they're.
I think it could be something where it's week 15 or week 16, and they still mathematically can get into the playoffs. But I think I'd be surprised with everyone.
I don't know if that's just the quirk of the 17-game season, though, that you just
alive
for longer.
Well, it's 18 weeks, so
Well, you know what I mean, 17 games, whatever.
Yeah, and that extra wildcard team.
Yeah, and they expanded.
There's a lot of shit in there, so.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just something tells me if they can just get their act together, they might just be in the mix. Any bets we like on this one? I love the Niners minus the 7.
Yeah, I think the Niners will win comfortably. Truthfully, I think McCaffrey will play. I think that Monday, that extra day, and I would rest McCaffrey, but it doesn't feel like Shanahan's that way inclined, and it doesn't feel like McCaffrey is in any way that inclined. He does not want to rest. Reminds me a bit of like, I used to see these things like Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez was the same. Like they never wanted to miss games because like they were dominant. They wanted to show it every single game they could, and it feels like McCaffrey's the same, and I love that.
Do you just want him to rest McCaffrey because you're playing me in our fantasy football league and you're a 68-point underdog?
68.5 point underdog.
68.5 point underdog.
So get it right. Get it right if you're going to brag. I mean, no, just like if I was Kyle Shanahan, I'd probably want to rest him for the rest of the season because I don't think they're going to need him on Monday. I have McCaffrey in a few fantasy leagues. I'm losing to you regardless. I'd love him to go 40 points for me, mate. Do me a favor.
Wouldn't. I've got Lawrence, McCaffrey, Gibbs, all questionable, so that gap could drop. That line.
To what, 45? Like my heart bleeds for you. You've got other players to put in for them.
Well,
I don't have a bet for this game, but I do have a trivia question.
Oh, I love a trivia question. Go for it.
You know the last time San Francisco won in Minnesota?
No. Joe, come on. You're the
I'm just trying to think.
It's an audio medium, Joe. Come on.
Yeah, not a clue, to be honest. When was it?
So they've lost the last 6. Their last win there was December 13, 1992.
Oh, should have been 1 year old.
I was more than 1 year old, but yeah, I was a Ben as well. I was going to wonder if you were actually born then, Joe. So not quite as young as I thought, I guess, but pretty close.
Should go.
Yeah, that's real interesting.
It's crazy because I thought, those are the kind of stats. It's normally like they played once. But yeah, they played 6 times. They lost the last 6 in Minnesota. I don't think that's going to happen again Monday, though. I think I would take the 7 with no qualms.
And I think anything on Ayuk, really, like over these yards, I feel like he's going to have a monster day.
Yeah.
Just on Fields. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Just Ayuk's going to have a huge game. Just,
Let's have a look. Brandon Ayuk receiving yards over 65 and a half.
We've got the alternates up. No, DK don't have the alternates up. When they get the alternates up, we might crush the Ayuk ladder, get him at 80, 90, 100, see what price we get on those. Because I agree. I think, coming into the season, there was that thing of like, who's the wide receiver 1 in San Francisco? And I don't think it could be more obvious right now. Like, Deebo's a great weapon and a great, utility player, but Ayuk, it's his contract year too, right?
Yeah.
He's earned himself a bag.
Yeah. Interesting. So that 65 and a half minus 110, you can then get the receiving yards milestone at 75 yards at plus 130. So for that extra 9 yards seems real good value. Yeah. Shout out Bet365. Anything else on the Niners Vikings before we move on?
No game day.
No game day for this one. We'll continue to shout them out as we go through the rest of our picks. Should we have a look at our fourfold challenge? You heard our guest Simon Carroll's picks. Let's fill in the blanks with ours. I am going to try and start moving in the right direction. Just a reminder of the records. I'm in dead last, 10, 13, and 1. The guests are 11 and 13. That pesky one, half a game ahead of me. Byron, 49 and 1 in second, and Joe leading the way, 19 and 5. Some record through 6 weeks, that, Joe.
Very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yours is bad when Simon won't even look at you.
Thanks, yeah. So it's just taking Simon Carroll's Twitter picture. I hope he doesn't mind. I didn't ask him. So hopefully he doesn't mind. So we'll start, we've just talked about I love the Niners at the -7. Came down to it was 7.5, wasn't it? I might need to flip my bet out on that actually. But yeah, -7. Love the Niners. Byron, your favorite is the Seattle Seahawks against Cardinals. Seahawks -7.5.
Yeah, I think going into Seattle might be a tough one for Arizona. They seem to be getting a little, I don't want to say worse by the week, but it kind of feels that way with Arizona, where obviously started real hot this season, even if the record wasn't showing it necessarily, but the spread record was. But it feels like things are just getting maybe a bit bit too hot and heavy for the Cardinals. Injuries are piling up a little. And I think that loud stadium, Seattle need to bounce back. I think they might be a bit of a statement game and put the foot down here.
Yeah. Should we go? I think it's just there's a time limit on this Cardinals being frisky, I think, isn't there? Kyler Murray's maybe back soon as well.
Yeah, he's back training this week, and I think their next 2 games after this are the Browns and the Ravens. So maybe won't be back in 2 weeks. I think maybe the 3 weeks when they're not facing such a tough defense. Might be sensible.
Joe, I was surprised at this one, given what we know about the Pittsburgh Steelers, in particular Mike Tomlin as an underdog. You've gone with the Rams -3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know, I don't really go with stats, Paul. I'm more of a gut feeling kind of. I struggled with the favourites is what's cost me the last 2 weeks, and because I went for 2 favourites who a lot of people thought would win and win comfortably. So I struggled again this week, and I feel like the Rams are going to win. I still don't trust, Kenny Pickett. And I think, the Pittsburghs, I think Steelers are going to do decent in terms of holding LA not to loads of points, but I also don't see Pickett scoring many. So I think -3, I think I can see the Rams winning by 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh were nearly the underdog that I picked, but I changed out and why, look, we'll regurgitate these Mike Tomlin stats, but just rather than going on about that, just look at the recent history of the Steelers as an underdog, as a road underdog. They're 7-3 against the spread, including hitting the last 4 in a row they've covered as a road underdog. There's just something about Mike Tomlin is when feeling, whether it's the being disrespected as an underdog, whatever it is, they just turn up in those games. That defense is nasty. I really like. Yeah, we'll get to it. I think it's a good shout as an under game as well. That Steelers defense is legit, and Rams are pretty good as well, right? You've got Aaron Donald, so we'll come to that one later.
Sorry, I just had another stat there for you. The Steelers are 1-3 in their last 4 against the spread on the road after a bye.
After a bye, there we go.
Maybe he's not doing much coaching up in the bye week.
Thanks for backing me up.
Well, Najee Harris and one of the linemen spent an extra day of their bye week grading their own coaching film and giving tips to the coaches who are apparently going to take these offensive tips into the game this week, which fire Matt Canada.
Yeah, interesting. Deontay Johnson should be back off IR. It'll be interesting to see if he adds anything to that offense. I mean, he's not so far, really. But he might. He's due a touchdown anyway. He's still not scored one, I don't think, in the NFL. So we'll see. But yeah, all the Steelers in that one. Simon went for the Browns. Browns -2.5. What do we think? Browns at the Colts. Andy Richardson out for the season now. They've opted to have surgery on the AC injury. I think PJ Walker's still going to play for the Browns by the looks of it.
I think it might be Watson. He practiced fully today.
Oh, you're back, right? There we go. Look, check before the recording, Paul. -2.5. I quite like the Browns in this spot.
Me too. I think Minshew is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league under pressure, and this Browns defense will get pressure. The Colts line's pretty good, but I don't think they're good enough to stand up to that all game. And yeah, I think the Browns have gone up to -3 now, but I'd still be backing them at -3.
Yeah, Colts 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 at home.
I struggled with this one. I was going to pick the Colts until I saw the Watson news. I felt like if PJ Walker plays, it's such like there's a reason why he's a backup, and sometimes a backup of a backup, that he'll have one good game and then suddenly he'll have a disaster the next one. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense why he's not starting. So I was going to pick the Colts, but now Watson's playing. I'm like, it's still tight though.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move into our underdogs. 3 guys, Byron, Joe, and Simon, all on the Lions, +3 at the Ravens, which makes me very nervous for my actual bet on the Lions. I'm taking the Chargers at the Chiefs. Chargers play the Chiefs pretty close. We've talked about that game, but yeah, I like the Chargers in that spot. I think the Chargers can sneak a win in this one. Chiefs aren't looking great. Chargers need to bounce back from Monday night. The overs, I've taken. I think it's the lowest number of the week, 37. Surely there's a way these guys put up 38 points between them. Falcons, Bucks. This was going to be a bit of a stinker of a game, but surely there's a way. Even if there's a defensive touchdown, some at spark, some points over 37. Yeah. nothing more to say on that game. Byron, you're on Packers Broncos over 45.
Yeah, I think the two offenses are the two best units on the field. The Broncos defense is putrid, like historically putrid. Packers defense gives up big plays when it shouldn't. Yeah, I think it's ugly shootout, maybe. I think this gets to 50 kind of, not going to say easily, but I can see it's been a 27-24, 30-24 kind of game without much issue, really.
Cool. Joe, you're on the Seahawks Cardinals over 44.5.
Yeah, so similar to Byron. I can see this game being, both getting at least 20 and Seahawks probably getting a little bit more, just because how Cardinals have played, how risky they've been, especially in the first half. So if they can get, 2 or 3 touchdowns in that first half just to make it close, and then if Seahawks run away, I think I picked Cardinals on the spread anyway. So yeah, so I think it's gonna be a high 20s, close game. But yeah, I don't think the Cardinals defense is special. I don't really think Seahawks defense is. I think it's good, but it's not special. So I think both teams can at least pile up the points and at least get to 45.
Seahawks would let me down with an over last week. I was on Seahawks Bengals last week, and it was a stink of the second half.
Yeah.
Simon's on Dolphins Eagles over 51.5. We talked about kind of how all the stats point towards that being an over. So of course I'm on the under. We didn't mention Julio Jones signed for the Eagles or signed to the practice squad. I mean, he's not signed to the practice squad unless he's going to obviously be elevated. What do you reckon to the Eagles move for Julio Jones?
I think there's a reason why we didn't say much, to be honest. I think he's past his best. I think he didn't show anything at Titans, and it's another year out. So, and his boy's going to be the 3rd, maybe 4th best receiver there. So I can't see him doing anything incredible. It might just be a help to help the young ones out with how to be a professional, how to be a top-notch wide receiver without being one.
Yeah, I don't have anything positive to say. I love Julio Jones, one of my favorite all-time NFL players, but he's washed.
He's washed.
I seen the Eagles were linked with Zach Ertz, and I was thinking, maybe this is just a signing of someone who now looks like a tight end that can't move instead of Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because, like I say, Julio's one of my favorite all-time players, and I don't think he bumped the over and up any number, right? It was 51.5 before he signed it.
Yeah.
I don't think he moved it.
Time waits for no man, I guess. Rest of the unders. Byron, you're on the unders. Under in Rams, Steelers.
Yeah. Joe kind of said it. Steelers offense, putrid.
He's absolutely rancid, yeah.
Rams could score 30, and I don't think this hits the over. So, and the Steelers defense is good as well. So, I think this could be 21-10, pretty low scoring, but comfortable for the Rams.
Yeah, fair. Chargers, Chiefs under for you, Joe, which we've talked about under 48. And then Simon is the flip of you, Joe. He's on the Cardinals, Seahawks under 44.5. So our FourFold, not easy to say. Mine's plus 12.91. Why is mine always slightly bigger odds?
Because you never win.
Because because I know you picked it.
Yeah. Mine's plus 12.91. Byron, yours is plus 1,200. Joe, yours is plus 11.73, and Size is plus 1,200 exactly. So yeah, if you fancy following one of us or fading, I'd strongly suggesting fading me in this. I'm going to go 0-4 again in these. I'm just not confident.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I've actually gone 5-1 on the unders this year, and I always hate the unders. So
it's impressive.
Follow Joe. Joe's hot at the minute. He's hot with these picks. So yeah, you get a chance to make some money tailing Joe Houston. I'm just hanging on to. I was Mr. 60% the last few weeks. That's not went down. We're very close to being Mr. 49%. We're hanging on to 53 at the minute. We need a good comeback week after 2 losing weeks. Yeah, 25, 20, and 2. But we're gonna have a strong week this week. I feel it. We're gonna get back up towards 60. Cool. Let's rattle off then our ATS picks for the rest of the games that we haven't talked about. Thursday night football, we're all on the Jags plus 2. I guess we're all hoping Trevor Lawrence plays.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying that they said it all depends on his pre-game warm-up. And I was like, you could tell us now so we know who to pick. Do they not know about this competition that we need to know before the game?
Trevor Lawrence is in my fantasy football team. Yeah, because he sort of said earlier in the week he was going to play, or he was trending towards playing. Now it's, we're not so sure. So a late one. I guess we should find out in 15 minutes or so. Hopefully, I don't know. Where we're at with Trevor Lawrence. Jags though, plus 2. Saints. Saints are really bad as a home favourite, which is either way. I think even if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, I'm not particularly big on the Saints in this spot either. As a home favourite, the Saints haven't covered 4 in a row as a home favourite. They're just not very good.
Who's the Jags backup?
CJ Beathard.
CJ Beathard.
49ers legend.
Yeah.
One stat for this one: the over 7-3 in the Jags' last 10 as a road underdog. I never thought I'd be saying that over on the Saints game. What's the line? Is it 40?
I'll tell you an issue with the line. The Saints O-line is all injured. So Josh Allen has got 7 sacks on the season. He had 8 all of last season. He's had a great start to the year.
Yeah, I think it's his contract. Is it his contract year?
Yeah. Him and Ayuk there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sell some money, yeah.
Cool.
It's 41 the over under, Paul.
41, yeah. I can't bet a Saints over at the minute. Falcons, Tampa. I'm on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just think the Falcons stink. In short, they have
disagree.
They've had the opportunity to charm me because they should be a good team, but the quarterback is awful.
I think they're one of them teams that they'll have one good week, one bad week, and they'll like keep flip-flopping. So I just thought, it feels like they're going to be a team that's going to be around 8-8. So they need to find some wins somewhere. So this is one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Tampa we might see absolutely. Tampa struggled against the Lions last week, but against, they've looked bad twice against 2 good teams in the Lions and Eagles. When they've been playing these middling teams or crap teams, they've looked more than okay. And I think we'll get that from the Bucs again. Falcons are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 as an underdog. I think the Bucs win this game and cover. And the unders hit 7 straight games with the Falcons as an underdog. So, of course, I picked the over for the FourFold challenge. So, I really fancy the Bucs in this one. We're all on the Bills. Have we all been sucking in with another high Bills number again after last week?
It's nothing to do with the Bills.
Kind of got that, yeah.
Like... New England are sorry. They are sorry looking. They pathetic. I think I'm going to use that word every time we discuss the New England pathetic-riets.
New England pathetics. No, it doesn't really fit.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But Mac Jones will start. Billy Zappi will probably come in. Malik Cunningham will have some fun little run around and not get the ball. And the Bills will win by 25 points.
Yeah, it feels like the Bills always, especially the last 2 years, it feels like they always beat down the Patriots. I expect them to do that again, especially being a division rival and actually having a week in their own bed and relaxing.
So this is the 11th time the Patriots are a home underdog since Brady left. In the previous 10 games as a home underdog, the Patriots are 3-7 against the spread, and the under is 6-3-1 in those games. Just full stats for you this week. Heavy presence. We're expecting a heavy presence of Buffalo Bills in Fantasy Gameday lineups this week.
Yeah, can't really go wrong, I don't think.
I will say that the over-under is 41, which I don't know if might be too high. I think I might go under in that one. Because I can see Bills scoring like 30-odd.
Yeah.
And winning like that to like 3 or to 7.
Yeah. And on top of that, Patriots haven't covered against the spread 6 straight at home, which is bad. It's really bad. Or just 4-2 in those.
If great teams cover, what do bad teams?
Spin-off. Are you creating a spin-off show there?
Yeah, just Byron on his own.
It's just me riffing on Sean Payton and Bill Belichick every week.
Him and Charlie just so
You ever see do you watch or listen to the Mina Kimes show featuring Lenny? It's a Byron show featuring Charlie.
Yeah,
Lenny's a dog if you don't listen to it. He used to have his own section where he asked questions at the end, but he got silenced for some reason.
Oh.
It was very sad.
Very sad.
Shout out Lenny.
Shout out Lenny. Let's move on to Cleveland Browns. We're all on the Browns -2.5 against the Colts. We've touched on that game already. Lions. We're all on the Lions. The more I see that now, the more I'm like, the fucking Ravens can win this game, aren't they?
Yeah, I hate it.
Winning cover. Vegas, the Raiders. The Raiders got a chance to win 3 games in a row. Raiders are 3-point favorites against Chicago. The stats don't help with this one, to be fair, because both of them are terrible in these spots. So Raiders have failed to cover 9 straight games as a road favourite. That's not good. The Bears have also lost 10 straight at home outright, just lost 10 straight games at home. So, I don't know really what to do on this one.
Yeah. Two bad teams, I think. You get to see Aiden O'Connell versus Tyler Bagent?
Tyson.
I think that's the 4th different way you've said that.
Did I get his first name right even?
No, his name's Tyson.
Perfect, thank you. Goodness me. And I've picked the Bears because I have faith in
Tyson
Bagent.
Before we started recording, Joe, before you got on, Byron got... I don't know, well, he didn't get got. He thought, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a video floating around of his dad, Tyson... Travis, yeah. He's Travis. Byron, and the dad is an arm wrestling champion, and Byron thought that was the quarterback who was the arm wrestling champion.
This 45-year-old man.
They can throw a long ball, though.
I bet he can. He's going over the mountains.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are going to scoff at me picking the Bears again, but as a home underdog against the Raiders ever, the Bears are 4-0 against the spread.
From 1985.
When was the last time? Yeah, when was the last game that the Bears were a home underdog against the Raiders? What was the
2015.
date? Oh, not even that long ago. Right, okay.
Yeah, the 4th one was 1984.
Okay, cool.
4-0 though. Can't argue with maths. Are the Eagles ever going to lose to the Jets? No, it's never happened. It will not happen.
Yeah, can't argue with the stats. Stats don't lie. Giants, Commanders, NFC East game. Washington 2.5-point favorites. You guys both on the Commanders. I just took the divisional game, home underdog, take the points. Giants should be encouraged after kind of what they did in Buffalo last week.
Yeah, I mean, they played well. I just struggle with this so much, truthfully. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot who I'd picked till I looked at the sheet here. It very much a toss-em game for me. Could be either. If the Giants play like they did on Monday, on prime time earlier last week,
Sunday night football, yeah.
Sunday, I think they probably will beat Washington, but I think Washington probably got higher upside, and that's why I've gone with Washington.
Yeah, it feels like one of them games like, yeah, you can take some positive out of it, but again, one game. This is a game to prove it if they actually are positive and they need to start winning if they actually want to have a decent season. But I think if they lose this, then it's a bit of disaster to start 1-6.
And are we expecting Danny Dimes back?
That's what I was just going to say. I'm not sure. I mean, even if he was fit, would you just play Tyrod Taylor anyway?
I think they'll play Danny Dimes, but I don't think they should.
Well, you pay more
Tyrod.
You know.
Exactly. That's why I think they'll play him regardless.
Yeah.
But Tyrod had a really good game, so I'd struggle to take him out the lineup. But coaches don't always make decisions like that. And yeah, you've just paid $40 million to the guy. If he's fit, you play him, don't you?
Yeah, he's been back in practice on Wednesday, Thursday, limited practice, so that would suggest he's trending to play. Try and protect him at least. Just try and protect him. Whether you protect him or not, at least just show some effort in trying to protect him at least. Yeah. I feel like he's a real. He's had problems with his neck before, right? And I'm saying it's maybe not necessarily the same thing, but you can't keep taking shots at the rate. He's not just taking shots; he's getting mullered as well. And I know some of that's on him. A lot of that's on that line.
Some of it, but yeah. But I mean, it's really a sack matchup. This because I mean, we say it every week, I think, but Sam Howell's in the 90s for projected sacks for the season. So it's going to be a lot of sack action. I think is kind of the takeaway for me.
Is Barkley back for this game?
Yes, I believe so.
Barkley played Sunday Night Football, didn't he?
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's back again.
Yeah, I guess maybe total sacks in the game as a prop might be an option you want to have a look at. Although I went huge on that in the Super Bowl with the Eagles and Chiefs, that both were huge, and then there was one sack in the game, wasn't there? So yeah, tough. It's a tough one to gauge, but yeah, maybe worth a look. That's that. We've touched a little bit. I'm on the Seahawks -7.5. So is Byron. Joe, you're going with the Cardinals to cover. Talk to that one. I love for the.
So I'm just saying I would throw out Lockett for the fantasy game day for that one.
Yeah, I did a big game last week, didn't he? I think he had 6 grabs for 90-odd yards. So yeah, probably a good shout. I know, yeah, we had DK in our team last week, didn't he? Kind of disappointed, but Lockett feels like he's getting back in the groove. We'll get him at a bargain price as well. I think he's just somewhere around the £4,000 mark in Fantasy Game Day, so well worth a look. Steelers Rams we've talked about. Again, Cooper Kupp probably worth a shout in Fantasy Game Day. Is going to cost you a lot.
I think again him and Nakua. I think you can't really go wrong. Kupp's getting the more of the work, but Nakua's still getting his targets. So it is a tough defense, which kind of makes me a little hesitant to go both of them maybe. But I think either of them are a good option.
Yeah, Kupp 7,100. Pakua's 5,900. Still got seven targets last week.
Yeah, I think he dropped a touchdown as well.
He did, yeah. It was a surefire touchdown as well. Yeah, should have caught that. Cool. And I'm on the Steelers +3 for the previous stats reasons. I'm just going to back the Steelers when I see a plus number in front of them every single time. Packers, Broncos. I'm on me and Byron on Green Bay -1. Denver. Joe, you're on Denver +1. I think Denver are going to win this game.
Yeah, it's just one of them. I don't think Denver's going to go 15-1, so they've got to start picking up win. I think they might win 4 or 5 games. So, and this just feels like a kind of game where, at home they'll sneak out a win. It's just like, one of them games. Again, gut feeling, no reasoning. Just, I don't think Green Bay has been that impressive the last few weeks. So, they're not coming in thinking, oh my God, they played in the Green Bay from the first week or even the second. So, I think it's going to be a close game either way. And I just, with Denver being +1, I think they might win it just to get another victory under the belt.
Green Bay have had the bye. I think we're going to see Aaron Jones back out. He was back in practice as of Monday. Should make a difference for the Packers.
Yeah. So injury struck though, the Packers. You never quite know what you're going to get, I think, until the inactives come out.
Yeah.
Because they played against the Lions, didn't they? But didn't do too much. And I think that's taken back out again. So see how he is. Yeah.
Packers 6-3-1 against the spread on the road after a bye in the last 10. I mean, a lot of that's with Aaron Rodgers and possibly even Brett Favre, but not quite the same. All on the Chargers +5.5, and me and Byron on the Dolphins +2.5. Joe, you're on the Eagles, and then we're all on San Francisco -7 for Monday Night Football. Yes,
is it a bit worrying that we've all gone the Chargers?
Yep, hate it.
Need to go back and track. Kind of where we are when we're all on the teams. I don't think the record's like great.
I think it'll be 50-50.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to shout.
But if we're backing it at 100%, we want it to be better than 50-50, right?
No, of course. But when you look at our records, we're all way above 50%. So surely there must be quite a few.
I'm really not way above 50%, but I'm bottoming this one 47-42-4. Byron 51-38-4, and Joe 53-36-3.
I should be 4 at the bottom. Sorry, at the push.
Oh yeah, you should think about pushing. He's trying to eke an extra half game on you there, Byron.
Well, he does all this work. I mean, I'll probably allow it over a season.
He does do a lot of work. Shout out, Joe, for all the graphics and the Instagram posts and all that jazz. It's appreciated, and you did do such a good job with it as well. On that note, make sure you go give us a follow. Good Teams and Great Teams cover on Spotify to be notified of new episodes. Follow our Instagram, our Twitter /X, our YouTube if you want to see our faces while you're hearing our voices, at GTW_GTC. And for the final time, go and download Fantasy Game Day. Go and do it now. Daily fantasy. Available here in the UK. It's finally here. Launched for this season. It's a great game. The app's brilliant, real easy to use. Great to follow during the Sunday games as well, so you can see the live scoring. The winners are winning. Last couple of weeks, winners have won over £100, so it's great for what your entry fee is. There's also prizes for if you're finishing in the top 20%, not just for the winners. Go download it now from your App Store, your Google Play Store, wherever. Download it and register with promo code COVER, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo, all in capital letters. By doing that, once you've entered for the first time, you'll then receive a free game it's a free chance to win some money. So go do it. If you play fantasy football all in any capacity, then go do this. It's a load of fun, and get on board because the prize pool's growing every week. I think we might get to somewhere near 900 quid this week in the prize pool. Gets obviously over 150 entries hopefully this week for the guys. Made by British fans for British fans. Go download it now. Byron, Joe, I think that's us done for this episode. Enjoy your week 7, however you choose to spend it. It'd be nice with Cowboys are off this week, so that's nice. Nice little bye week.
Yeah, can't lose this week.
Can't lose this week, which is good. We've won the bye. And then, we'll be back on Tuesday, hopefully. Tuesday night with our week 7 review show. So until next time, thanks for joining us here at Good Teams Win. Great teams cover.
Cheers.